The difference between a good gym and a bad gym comes down to this very simple formula. Today, I'm going to show you how to run meta ads that actually print money for your gym. And the best part about it, this tactic works in any economy. Here's the thing. Most gym owners are focusing on the wrong metrics when it comes to running Facebook ads. They obsess over reach and impressions, but what truly matters is the number of leads you get, how much you pay for them, and what tangible results this has on your business. The best way to create quality leads for a low price is by having an irresistible offer. So here I'm going to go through how we can create that for your business. To create that irresistible offer that will blow up your gym, we really need to understand the psychological triggers that our audience has and how we can leverage these to make them want to buy from us. So here is the formula to a successful gym ad and a gym offer. So this is dream outcome times by likelihood of achievement divided by time delay and effort. This is the value equation created and made popular by Alex Hormozi. Unfortunately, I can't take credit for this one. If you haven't heard of this, then I'm sure you haven't read Alex Hormozi's book about offers. I really do recommend you go and read that. It is a serious eye-opener and will change the way you think about offers and how you can use them to grow your business. But let me just break this down for you in simple terms and relate it back to the fitness industry. So your client wants that dream body, they want better health, or they want a better mental well-being. Whatever it is, that's their dream outcome. That's what they're coming to you to get. But here's something we really do need to keep in mind. The bigger the transformation that we promise, the more skeptical people become of us being able to actually deliver. Therefore, we need to increase the perceived likelihood of achievement. Basically, we just need them to trust us more. But here is the kicker. If you make the timeline that you promise these results in too long, then people are going to become uninterested. That's why these 6 to 12 week challenges are so popular, because it's a bite-sized amount of time, but long enough to see some genuine results. Any longer than this, and then we're really starting to fight that human psychology unless people are truly committed to you and your program. So let's put all of this into action. Instead of saying something generic like, get fit this year, you could say something like, 6 weeks slim down or 6 weeks summer challenge. And here you should be able to notice quite a clear difference between the two. One is very vague and long term, whilst the other is very specific and achievable. So I'm just going to pop up some examples now of actual offers that are genuinely crushing it on Facebook ads for other gyms. These are things like a 28 body blast, the 8-week dream body project, or a 12-week full body transformation. So that covers the offer for our ads. And this is an essential part of the ad that we must have very clear before we even think about creating a new ad campaign. The offer comes first. Once we have this figured out, and by now we should, we then need to think about the three main components of an ad: the creative, the copy, and the headline. For the creative, we need to focus on having high quality fitness imagery. You could even go down the video route and have some sort of high production talking head video similar to this right now. Me, a camera, and I'm simply speaking into the camera. Here you could speak about your service, the benefits of people using your service, or perhaps highlighting some client wins. What's a very good idea in your creatives is to show off your client transformations, your before and after pictures, but keep in mind the more dramatic these changes are, the less relatable they become and the less compelling they become. Next, we have the ad copy, the text around your ad that further compels people to take action. We need to understand psychology to make our ad copy as effective as we possibly can. Effective copy always has a very strong hook that calls out your ideal customer. We then move on to speak about clear pain points that customer is experiencing right now. We then want to sprinkle in some social proof of results that we've generated for people that are very similar to them. And then we want to create some sort of urgency that's going to compel them to actually take action and click through to our call to action. This could be something like the deadline for people to apply for your challenge, or perhaps the limited number of slots you have for your bootcamp. And third, we have the headline. The key here, we want to keep our headline short and punchy. We want to focus on the results that we can get our clients or just the offer itself. We need to include a very clear time frame, and if we can, we'll make it season appropriate. And the final big consideration we must make is how we're setting up our actual campaign. But lucky for you, this is a fairly simple step. So here are some tips to set up an effective Facebook ads campaign. Keep the range around your physical location very tight, as small as you can in the beginning. Start with around £20 to £50 per day in ad budget, depending depending on how much you're willing to spend for the month. And then these are the metrics that you need to track religiously. First is cost per lead. We're ideally going to keep this under £10. Then we need to track the show up rate of these leads to calls or meetings. We're going to want to keep this above about 50%. And then finally, of these people that show up, we need to track the close rate. What percentage of these people that show up to your calls and meetings do you actually convert into paying customers? And again, we want to keep this at above around 30%. Now, something that may surprise you about the most successful gyms that are using Meta ads to grow is they're not all in on just fitness, okay? They focus just as much on the actual transformations that people go on and also other benefits like mental well-being. So this is something to keep in mind when you're building out your next Facebook ad. Anyway, now that I've gone through the foundations, we have a clear understanding of what goes into an effective Facebook ads campaign. I'm going to walk you through this step by step right now. Okay, so before I actually run you through me building out the campaign, this is the kind of planning that you need to do before you actually start to build out your ads and your campaigns and your ad sets and all of that kind of stuff. You need to go in with a clear plan. You can't just make it up in the ads manager section. So here is our plan. I have a creative that I've made. I'll show you that in a second. I have our headline, which was one of the offers that I've just mentioned. We have our first line hook. So this is just the opening part of our copy. So this is a very compelling piece of copy that's going to get people hooked in on what it is that we're advertising. Obviously, we're using gender segmentation here. So what I'm going to show you here is a female ad set. So that's why we've got women, that's why we've got ladies in the copy, because we're speaking directly to that gender and we're calling out our audience. So you can see here, looking for 15 women, a bit of scarcity, slim down, tone up and feel amazing in their clothes. We're highlighting some benefits that these people are going to get. And then we're also showing them the things that they can get without having to do boring exercises, like without spending hours on the treadmill or living on chicken and broccoli. Okay, so we're basically saying a bit of scarcity here with how many people we want. We're highlighting the benefits that they can expect to receive without having to do the really boring stuff that no one wants to do. So, and then we go on to the main copy, which is just further information that is going to compel them. I've just shortened it down. I think that was a bit too long. But we then basically have an introduction, so there's a bit more context. We've added some social proof here about how many people we've helped. Here we go deeper into the benefits, and these are not features, these are benefits. So drop 10 to 15 pounds without crash dieting. Okay, this isn't you'll be doing 6 weeks of HIIT workouts 3 times a week and talking about all the features and the types of workouts that we're doing. We're simply talking about the benefits. I'm not going to go through them all, but you can see here, skyrocket energy levels, learn how to maintain results long term. These are all things that people actually want out of their fitness routines. What they don't want to do is to be able to do 5 extra push-ups or 3 extra pull-ups or whatever it may be. So then we also have, you can get all of these benefits here, which are highlighted, without having to do any of the other things that people do not want to do when it comes to dieting. So no yo-yo dieting, no feeling intimidated at the gym without wasting money on programs. All of these things are objections that people have that stops them from actually paying for fitness services. So we're addressing those objections in our copy so we can get rid of those straight away before they come into the sales situation. And then we have got our a bit more scarcity here. We are reiterating how many slots we have left. We've included some prices. You can or cannot do this depending on how you want to actually speak to your customer, what kind of information you want to get. This is definitely something that you should test. And then we go through and we have a bit of a qualifier bit here. We talk about this isn't another quick fix program. We're looking for women who are ready to make real change. So this is going to get rid of those time wasters. So we just don't get inundated with unqualified leads that are just tire kickers and aren't actually ready to buy. So, and also this sort of sets the expectation to our customer. You know, obviously we are actually in the business of getting people results. It's not going to be easy, particularly if people are starting from square one. So we're setting expectations from the off and getting rid of any of those time wasters. After that, we have a bit more of a testimonial, social proof with a success story and a testimonial from 2 people, Sarah M and Emma T. Again, this is all fake. I've made this up. You need to use real testimonials that you have actually received. And then we also increase the perceived likelihood of achievement, or we decrease the risk on them by having a 100% money back guarantee. So then if this doesn't go well for them, which I'm sure it wouldn't, but if it doesn't, they don't waste time and money. They simply have just wasted a bit of time, and I'm sure they'll make some progress, maybe just not the progress that you've promised them. So this just gets rid of another obstacle or another objection that people might have that stops them from actually buying our product or service. And finally, we just have a very simple call to action here. Click learn more to secure your spot before prices go up. So yeah, very simple. You can see the techniques that are being used here. Hopefully you can start to see why this is a bit more compelling than just like your average copy. And here I'll just show you the ad creative that we made, or that I made. Again, very, very simple, but I'm going to show you what is actually going on here. So obviously the actual image itself is an image of women, and they are in workout clothes. They've got the gloves on, they've got headbands on, hair tied back, and in sports tops. It's very clear what kind of business this is and who the people are that we're trying to target. Okay, it's very clear that this is a fitness business and we're targeting women. Then underneath that, we have our offer. So again, we're focusing on our offer. I did mention how important that is. So it's very time bound, and people can see what kind of benefits people can expect when they do this challenge, which is slim down. Okay, so in just 5 to 6 words, we've made a very, very clear explanation of what it is that we're serving. And also through the imagery, we're showing who we're serving it to. And this is before they've even read the copy. And then we're adding some more urgency by just highlighting how many slots we have left. So we've got only 7 spaces left. Closes this Sunday. Although now that I think about it, the copy says 15 who want to slim down. So obviously we need to make sure that the messaging and what we're saying is coherent between the ad creatives and the copy. One mistake that I see people make that you really don't want to do is seeing the ad creative and copy as separate entities. These are 2 things that must work together to create this extremely compelling piece of media that is going to get people to click on your link. So we must make them in harmony, and these must match. So yeah, we've only got the messaging here might be slightly different. That doesn't really matter that much right now for the example of this video, but yeah, something that you should keep in mind when you're actually building out your ad. Okay, so finally we are actually in the Meta Ad Manager, and here we're going to build out our campaign. So I'm not going to go through too much explanation. I've already done a lot of explanation on why we're doing things. So here you're just going to simply see me put all of that information into action. So obviously we want to generate leads. If you want to actually generate customers for your business, for your fitness business, you need to click leads, and none of this other stuff really matters for you if you're doing that. We're going to want to click manual lead campaign because we're going to want complete control over this campaign. We want to know exactly what's gone into it to get the results that we do get. So if we click for Meta to set it up, then we don't really have a proper understanding of what's going on. So this is going to be a cold campaign because this is going to go out to cold audiences. So we'll name this maybe cold campaign 1 because I'm sure we'll run other campaigns in the future. And then outside of that, that's pretty much it for what we're going to do at the campaign level. We simply just want to name it. So here we're going to move through to the ad set. Now, this is where we're going to segment by audiences. So here we're going to have female ad set 1. I like to put this stuff just so it's a bit more organized, but as long as you name things properly, then it's going to be fine. You just need to name it so that once you're running loads of campaigns, you can come back and you can quite easily find the ads and the ad sets that you're looking for. Okay, there's no confusion because you haven't named stuff. I recommend, for the sake of this video, I'm going to do instant forms because that is easier. I do recommend that you have a website and you have a landing page and that is built out properly. I'm not going to go through that now. That's a whole separate video which I have made. So go onto my channel and you'll be able to find that. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to stick with lead forms. We're going to then go down. We don't need to worry about this kind of stuff. We're not going to worry about a cost per result for now. Dynamic creatives, again, not something that we're going to be interested in. Here we set our daily budget. So like I said, depending on your ad budget and how much you're willing to spend, you need to set your initial budget, which should be quite small, and you should look to slowly increase as the weeks and the months go by. Again, this depends on how much you actually want to spend. If you're spending about £500, £750 a month, then I'd recommend starting at £20. But if you're looking at spending £1,500 to £2,000 a month, then you can jump in straight at about £50, get some real results really quickly, and then iterate even quicker because you have that bigger ad budget. So use that to your advantage. But for now, we'll leave that as 20. That seems fine for now. Budget scheduling, this is something that's not going to be useful for us. This is quite an advanced setup, and also only really something that you should be thinking about after you've spent loads of money on ads and your ads manager and you understand your audience really, really well. So then we go through to our audience control. So this is where we set up our first piece of targeting. So of course, the most important thing that we're going to do here is setting up our location. Obviously, we are a gym. We have a physical location, so we only want to be targeting people that are near our gym. So I'm going to get rid of UK because that's obviously far too broad. Now, I live not too far from a city in the UK called Milton Keynes. So for this example, I'm going to pretend that I have a gym in Milton Keynes. Now, the radius that it sets around the location that you pin is 25 miles by. That's just the standard. So we want to drag that all the way down to 10 miles. Now, what we can see here is our estimated audience size. Now, I would say that what we don't want to do is make this audience size too small. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're out in the sticks, then you might want to increase your radius so that you have a slightly bigger estimated audience size. Now, one thing we do need to keep in mind that this audience size will be sliced in half as soon as we target women as well. So this is another thing that we need to think about. Because I'm targeting Milton Keynes, it's a fairly densely populated area. Our audience size is okay for now, but something to think about if you are in the middle of nowhere and there's not many towns or cities near you, then you might want to make your radius size too big. The main thing that you want to consider when you're actually setting your radiuses is actually how far are people going to be willing to travel to get to my gym. So the audience size is more of a secondary metric, but it is useful. But the main thing that you need to think about is genuinely how far is the average person going to be willing to travel to my gym. So 10 miles is about a 25-minute drive. So if you're a fairly simple gym, you don't really have anything unique, you don't have a big brand, you're just starting out, then you need to think people that live 45 minutes away from you probably have similar options that are closer. So they're just simply not going to pick you because it's too inconvenient for them to travel there. So that's the main consideration that you need to make when you're setting your location targeting. But the estimated audience size is a useful metric to have on the side to just help guide your decision. Now, we do have other options here where we can set minimum ages. This is where we do retargeting, not something for us right now. So the only other thing that you might want to play with here is minimum age. So if you only serve older people, or perhaps you are, that's the main thing. If you only serve an older demographic and that's your sort of your niche and that's your ideal customer, then you might want to set a minimum age. But fitness is something that quite a lot of young people are doing. So if you want more customers coming through, I would say don't faff around with the minimum age settings that you have. Also, we need to consider the more targeting we put in and the more restricted we make our targeting, the smaller this estimated audience size is going to become. And I think broad targeting in general is better for Facebook because so after you spend a good amount of money on meta ads, then your ads manager, the AI involved, the algorithm that's powering it is going to become very advanced. It's going to learn your audience very well, and it's going to understand where people are that engage the most. What kind of age are they? What do they do for a living? All of these sort of things Meta is going to slowly learn the more you spend on your ads. So I would say set your targeting quite broad and allow Meta to work its magic and just give it the resources, i.e. the money, to learn, and the more it learns, the better your ads are going to perform. And then finally, we have the Advantage Plus audiences. So this is going to be important because here we're obviously doing gender segmentation, so we're going to select women. Now we can see that has sliced our estimated audience size in half, like I said, which is fine because we're going to have another ad set that's targeting men. So all of that 250,000 people that were in our audience size, they are going to be hit. However, they're going to be hit with different ads. The males, that is, they're going to be hit with male focused ads. So the imagery is going to be men. The copy is going to be focused around men and their goals and their struggles right now. But anyway, you've seen that in action for the women. And then because of our audience size right now, I wouldn't really add any other targeting. What you could do if you live in a massive city is you could add other detailed targeting here. Here we can just make this quite generic, and this could be something like fitness. We can see that there's a load of different options here. Physical fitness as an interest might be a good place to start. If you are perhaps a CrossFit gym, then maybe you could try CrossFit, but this might be a bit niche. So CrossFit as an interest is one. So if you're a CrossFit niche, this could, if you're a CrossFit gym, this could be something that you could think about. But again, for us and for most people watching this video, I would just set your gender and be done with it. Placements, again, these are the sort of things that Meta's going to become very advanced at understanding. What kind of places does it need to put your ads to get the highest conversion? So does it need to be on people's feeds, on the stories, in the Facebook marketplace? Whatever it may be, Meta is going to learn and is probably going to become more advanced than you are, and is going to be more effective than any sort of manual targeting that you're going to do in terms of your actual targeting and your placements. So that is the ad set. As you can see, fairly simple setup. So then we want to move through to the actual ad. So again, we want to give this an appropriate name. So this is going to be female ad 1. What we could do is, if we were running image ads and video ads, then we could make sure that we know that it is either an image or a video ad, or perhaps we could label these by the types of hooks, or perhaps by the type of messaging that we're using. Whatever works for you, just make sure that things are labeled clearly. So obviously this picture of me with a cheesy grin is not what we want to use. So I'm going to build out the ad right now. So obviously we want to do, you either have create ad, use existing post, or use Creative Hub mockup. We're just going to create an ad. Here we can select the format, so either single image or video, or a carousel. Obviously you've seen that we're going to be using a single image. Destination is where people go once they click your call to action. So obviously we clicked an instant form for the example of this video. You would need to create an instant form if you didn't have one already. Or if you're using a landing page, then your destination would be the landing page URL. Okay, so here we have uploaded the creative that I showed you. Now here we get a preview of what they all look like. I'm sure you've seen this before. If you wanted to go the extra mile, then you could perhaps make a vertical and a horizontal version of your image ad, but this isn't necessary. You don't have to do that. So then we're going to click new. We don't want image animation. So here we get a pretty good visual of what it's going to look like. So now obviously we need to build out the rest of the copy. So if I go back to here, so we have the headline. We're going to start with that. So let's put that in here. So here now we can start to see what this looks like. Now the reason that I like this headline is, like I've mentioned, it is short and punchy. The reason that we want to keep it short, not only do we not want to inundate our viewers or potential leads with information, but also we need to think about where the actual text is going to cut off. If our messaging is starting to be cut off, then that's no good. We want to make sure that it is easily viewable and accessible to people as soon as they land on our ad. So short headlines, that's key. So here we've just gone down the offer route. We've simply stated what our offer is, and we've also called out our audience by saying for women. Then we want to go to our main bit of copy, which is this. I'll get rid of the red text. I'll get rid of that. So here, and then obviously what we don't want to have is location. Now what you might want to do is you might want to format this slightly better. So obviously the bullet points haven't formatted over. So what you might want to do is just do like stuff like this, just so we can see that it is a list. Perhaps you want to use emojis. I've sort of gone off using emojis because everyone is using them, and I think whenever people start to use stuff and things become overused, you then just become part of the noise. So I've started to move away from emojis for that reason, but it is a good way to break up your lists and make it a bit more attention grabbing and visually pleasing. So yeah, we need to think about a bit of formatting here. Perhaps we would maybe want to put a few more lines in so it looks a bit more readable and digestible. But obviously the main thing that matters when it comes to your copy is the actual content itself, the words that are on the page and the message that you are delivering. So description, also actually I will note that on some of the formats, so for example stories and stuff like that on Instagram and Facebook, your headline isn't actually the first thing that pops up. It's actually your primary text hook that we're calling it. I need to get rid of because that just looks rubbish. We need to think about what these first opening lines are within our primary text, because that's going to act as the hook for some of the stories, and that's going to be the very first thing that people see. So we almost want to have like a variation of our headline in the first line of our primary text, because that is going to act as a headline in itself. So here we've gone for attention, location, ladies, looking for 15 women who want to slim down, and so on. So yeah, I've gone through the copy. We don't need to do that again. The description, you don't really need anything to do with the description. Actually, one thing, I keep on doing that. One thing that we do need to include is the call to action at the end of the body text. So let's put that there. And then one thing that we do need to make sure that we are doing is making sure that our call to action matches what we've spoken about there. So we need to click, we've said click learn more. So we need to make the button learn more, or else that's just going to confuse people. Again, description, on most formats, you can't actually see the description. So you don't really need it. You could just literally just describe what it is. So we could perhaps just make the description the same as the headline, just so there's something in there. But this isn't the biggest concern. To you, the main thing is the headline, the body copy, and making sure that the button for your call to action matches whatever you've referred to it as in your copy. And then Advantage Plus Creatives isn't something we want to worry about right now. And then you have your tracking. So if you are tracking, which you definitely need to be doing, or else you're just running ads blind, particularly if you're running things to a landing page, because you're not going to be able to track that Facebook's not going to be able to track that lead once it lands on your landing page, because that has gone to an external site unless you have appropriate tracking put in place. So that's something you need to do if you're using landing pages. And that is basically it. So here we go. You can see here all of the different types of ads and what this would look like. So like you can see what I've just spoken about. So on the Instagram feed and on the stories here, you can see that our headline isn't the first thing that's popping up. It's the first line of our copy. So this is why I say you need to see the first line of your primary text as like a secondary hook or a secondary headline, because on some of the placements, that is going to be acting as your headline. So that's something we really need to think about when we're building out our meta ads. But yeah, here you can see what this looks like. Now, in terms of the ad creative and the copy, I've made educated guesses based off what has worked for us in the past, but I have never ran this ad before, so I don't actually know if this would work, but this is a highly educated guess based off what has worked for our clients previously. So this would definitely not be a bad place to start. If you wanted to just completely copy this and run it yourself and test it out, then be my guest. I guess that's part of putting this stuff online, is people will copy. So if you want to, go for it. But yeah, hopefully now you get a good idea of what kind of approach you need to be taking to build out an effective meta ad campaign to get customers through to your gym. Okay, so that's the end of that video. Now you should be able to go away and build out your own Facebook ad campaigns that will actually generate you leads and tangible business results. This is going to be the fastest way to blow up your gym. Content is good, referrals, word of mouth, all of this is very important, but there is nothing more effective than paid ads, okay? If you can build out a solid paid ad system where you put £1 in and you get £3 back, then you are always going to grow. You're never going to be stuck in business, because you have a very consistent and reliable marketing system that you can just turn up and down as to whether you want to grow your gym or not. Now, if you want to see other ways that you can grow your fitness business through effective marketing, then click the video on the screen right now.